So welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to talk about a subject which I think I'm sort of really qualified to talk about because I have been in the past a horse rider, and obviously I spend a lot of my spare time now teaching safe driving. So this video is going to be about how you can safely approach and navigate around horses when you encounter them on the road. And I'm going to come at this from two perspectives. I'm going to come at it from the rider's perspective, because like I say, I was a rider and my wife is still a rider, and I do teach advanced driving, which is primarily focused on safety on the roads. So let's start then with a perspective from a horse rider. Now, when you're riding on the road, generally it's because you need to get somewhere. You don't want to be on the road for a number of reasons. One, because it is generally not safe around cars and lorries and vans and other traffic that's on the road. But also it's actually not particularly good for the horse either, because the hard surfaces are quite difficult for their legs. So generally it's not something that a horse rider wants to do. But they do have every right to actually be on the road. They need to be able to get to generally bridleways or rides that they're going to do, which are off-road. So if you live in the countryside or you travel out into the countryside, at some point you're going to encounter a rider. So like I say, animals, in general, but horses in particular in this video, are unpredictable beasts, and that unpredictability can actually vary from day to day. One day they can be completely fine walking on the road, and another day, for some reason which is beyond understanding, they can be completely jittery, scared, something can just spook them, and they're going to behave in an unpredictable way. And believe me, I have been on a big horse when that has happened, where someone actually sounded their horn, and it is not a nice place to be. So from a riding perspective, we don't really want to be on the roads, but we have to be under some circumstances. And in those circumstances, the horse has every right, and the rider, horse and rider, has every right to be on the road. So that's from a rider's perspective. We don't want to be there. We have to be there. We don't know what's going to happen. So we need to be in control of the horse until we actually can get off the road. Okay, so from a driver's perspective, now you come across a lot of drivers that will say horses shouldn't be on the road. Well, like I say, they've got every right to be on the road. And it is the duty of a safe driver to actually safely negotiate either staying behind the horse or horses, or actually passing in a controlled manner. So you need to be patient, you need to be courteous. So whatever you do, when you come up behind a horse, do not sound your horn. That is totally inappropriate. And do not rev your engine either, because that can scare the horse as well. What you actually need to do is to stay well back from the horse until the opportunity arises to pass the horse or horses less than 10 miles an hour and giving them 2 meters of space. Now you will say, well, there will be roads where you can't give them 2 meters of space, and I accept that, but actually you need to wait until you can give them a safe distance, preferably 2 meters, actually preferably more than 2 meters. But if you can't, you need to pass them very wide, or as wide as you can, and as slow as you can. And remember, once you're past, that's not the point to actually accelerate away. That's the point to actually gradually build up your speed until you're well away from the horse. Now, having said all of that, There are a number of cases, and I know this from personal experience, where, and a lot more horse riders now are wearing helmet cams, where people do get impatient and they do silly things around horses. And you can be reported for doing silly things around horses, like sounding your horn, like I said, or revving your engine, or some other way in disturbing the animal. Now, that can be seen as careless or inconsiderate driving, and that faces a penalty of £200 and 6 points on your licence. And actually, if it's considered in an aggravating way, you can be taken to court and you can be fined a lot more than that and banned as well. So, you need to be aware that these are serious offences. So I'd just like to ask drivers to think about what you're doing when you encounter a horse. Now, one way that you might know that horses are coming, you might see horse poo on the road. If it's fresh, you can tell fresh horse poo. You know you're likely to encounter a horse. So adjust your driving for safety. And the safety is primarily for the rider because they have no protection around them. But it's actually also for you, because if that horse spooks, there is a chance that it's going to damage your vehicle in some way. On the other hand, could you live with yourself if you were inconsiderate to a horse? Something happened and that rider or riders were injured or even in some circumstances killed. Could you live with that on your conscience? Because a little bit of patience and a little bit of planning can safely negotiate horses while they're on the road. So please think about, when you see horses, how you're going to get round them, or if you can get round them even, or whether you need to stay behind them until they will, if they can, in most cases, try and move out of your way at the earliest opportunity. So thanks for listening. If you're a rider, safe riding. Obviously my wife rides all the time, so we're always conscious of safety. They all wear the proper safety equipment. And if you're driving, please plan your driving and slow down. Pass wide and slow.